personally, I like to think that James Dean and Jimmy Dean are the same person. I know they're not, but I like to think that James Dean had this really wholesome part of his life early on where he just made breakfast sausages. Before he was a rebel without a cause, he was the guy that made you breakfast. It seems like a pretty good legend. Hello, ghosts. I came out here and I can't show you the label, but this package was returned all the way from Britain. So we got to figure out who's going to be really pissed off in Britain. Time to start heating up both systems. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on both of them. You really don't want these things getting overheated. While we're waiting for these guys to heat up, which does take a bit, we're gonna shark it up, baby. We're up to temperature. Here's the first full day with production line number 2. Really gotta do that right. Since we're going to be making a full spool, we are going to time it. See how long it takes. If you don't paint on the eyes, the shark can't see. Yep, the bubble wrap stuff is here again. Couldn't come at a better time. Finally, we are so back. Sharko boy, going home. I was just waiting for the chart to load. But I was just looking at the graphs, not even looking at the data, and this is my YouTube stuff that I keep track of, and you'll notice it's all like going up, and that's just a good feeling. Got both the rigs doing their thing. One thing that I'm gonna have to figure out is how far forward you dial this or turn this slide this way is how fast it heats up. And as you can tell, this heated up much faster than the other one. So I'm gonna have to figure out where to put the dials so that they heat up closer to the same time. Getting a good amount of bubble wrap built up here. Maybe we'll wait till it's about like that. One thing that will change now that we have more filament than we can handle is every single one of these printers, maybe with the exception of Frankenstein here because it's been kind of weird. I can't figure out what's going on with it. Every single one of these printers will be printing something from now until Christmas and through Christmas. And the reason is because even if I'm not just taking care of the orders that I'm getting currently, we have to be banking sharks. I don't know for sure, of course, but there's every possibility that we are just going to be sending sharks out for Christmas. I'm probably going to sell more sharks than I could possibly produce. So every single day, I'm probably going to have, depending on how much I got to actually print for now, I got to have like 1 or 2 printers just making sharks constantly. It'd be really good if I could have 2 printers just making sharks day in and day out. I'll probably fill that second room with sharks. In fact, I've actually already put a couple out that I made extra. Saint Chuck, give me the perseverance to pump out the sharks. Speaking of which, another shark going out. See, we're already shipping like a couple of these a day, maybe sort of kind of on average. And it ain't even Christmas yet. There we go, everybody gets a cupcake. Glad to have this double-walled box again. There we go. By the way, this D20, which is coming out just fine, that's with the new plastic from the new filament line. Remember the green dots? It's working fine, baby. Little shark. Maybe I should make some extras of these too. Remember that David can from yesterday that was going bronze? This is that beautiful boy. All right, that's probably a pretty good amount. Man, it feels good to be back in bubbles. The bubble time. The bubble game. Yeah, I got it like that. Bronze David can is secured. This spool is pretty close to done. That actually only took like an hour and a half, a little more than an hour and a half. Maybe we'll let it go for a couple more minutes and this will be an hour 40. Yeah, probably like an hour 40. Yep, time for a new spool. Still gonna put the old green dot on there. Let's just do this for like a few days and just make sure nothing weird's gonna happen. Got a Moai 2. Gonna wrap this guy up and send him off to a loving, dedicated, forever home. Oh. I think I touched this. I was gonna say, this fan is working. That's enough packaging. Let's go to climbs. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. Gotta check my mirrors. Man, I was just thinking about that whole man in the mirror thing. Made me think about the early 90s, kind of late 80s, early 90s. There was this really brief time where it seemed like the thing that was cool was to be really, really positive. You know, you had like Michael Jackson's "It Don't Matter If You're Black or White," or you had Janet Jackson Rhythm Nation album, basically a concept album about like telling kids to not do drugs or do crimes. It's like, just imagine something like that being popular now. So it's just like, wow, culture is horrible. I don't know why this is striking me as funny. It's just like such a weird thing to think about. Even Van Halen had that song "Right Now." It's like, right now, it means everything. Just telling people not to waste their lives and stuff. It's a very hard thing to imagine that being cool again. I'm also thinking maybe that's why there's some primordial part of me that likes this gratitude, optimistic thing that we're trying to do on this channel. Because like, I kind of grew up with that stuff. Even like, that was just the popular music. It wasn't even like a hot take or like one artist. It was just the thing that was cool. Some old guy was looking at me as I was saying all that. I don't care. Listen, you might get a little something out of my spiel. Getting some paints from Ollie's. Ollie's is a strange place to get paints because a lot of times it's sort of weird colors and stuff, but if they do have it, it's cheaper. Like, man, the best thing ever is when Ollie's gets like a whole batch of like gold paint or something like that. I'll just buy like a whole bunch of boxes of it. One word of caution though, you have to test them, and they don't like it when you test them, but you just do a little test and make sure that it actually works, because some of these discontinued paints or whatever, they're discontinuing them because they don't work, or they only sort of work, or there's something weird going on. I have filament running back at the shop. My rule is that I don't go anywhere where I couldn't walk back if my car broke down, because it's fine for like a little while, but if those machines just ran and ran and ran with no filament going through the extruder, it's possible that they would overheat, because that filament, because it's room temperature, actually cools down the extruder while it's running. So we're only like a block away. I could easily walk back to the shop if the car broke down. But I remembered there is a chai tea shop around here. So instead of getting coffee, I think I'm gonna get some coffee chai tea. I hope this place is open. Last time I went here, they were closed at a time I wasn't expecting. But I think they got a screen on here. Oh, you order at the window. Okay, here goes nothing. They were open, just placed my order. They give you a giant one, it's like crazy. I like chai tea. It's not what I normally get, but man, every once in a while it kind of hits the spot, especially when it's super nice out again today. Like, I'm gonna say it every day because I appreciate it every day. Oh yeah, another thing about when I leave the extruders running when I'm gone, the temperature has to have been stable for a long time. I would say at least a half hour. And those temperatures had been stable for like an hour or something, you know, meaning like variation of maybe a degree or two. So there's just very, very little chance of anything bad happening. Yeah, so I'm very, very careful about it. Another thing that's cool is now that I have 2 extrusion systems, I don't have to run it all day. I can have a couple hours where I'm not making filament. It's not just a 24/7 thing, because I'm making, let me see, what would 10 rolls be? That's like 40 pounds of filament a day or something like that. 40 to 50, something like that. Okay, look at this. The European mind cannot comprehend this. This thing is huge. Chevron. Greatness starts with C. Oh yeah, I meant to mention, this is sugar-free. Like, I might really start getting this more often, because this is a very good tasting sugar-free thing. Yeah, check that out. Temperatures, very consistent. In other news, another one of these pipes got done, and we got a little string action going on, but really came out stellar. I love selling these things. We got special paints. Some of the paints from Ollie's are going to be used on this. By the way, you may have noticed I'm printing a bunch more spools. This is because we're going to need more spools. Think about how many spools I'm going to need to fill up all these pegs. That's 3 a piece, which maybe it's not that many, but it's at least a few a day. And honestly, Christmas might be so big this year that I might print more pegs and put them up here. Like, most Christmases, even if all of these pegs are full, I go through all of it in a month. 30, somewhere around 30 days. Speaking of which, we're gonna clean up some of these spools, because they come out okay, but like, you gotta like get all the little bits and stuff smoothed out. This should work. You would think something this simple wouldn't have required that much design work, but I had like 5 or 6 different versions of this, different iterations. The reason is because, like, you have to make it, obviously you want to make it as thin as possible, but not so brittle that they're really going to break easily. Well, then it's like, how much capacity should it have? And then you actually don't want the spool itself to be very heavy, because when they're turning on the spoolers, if they're too heavy, it won't like spool right, because it's used to the normal spools that are kind of lighter than this material. So there's actually a lot that went into this. Plus, I did stuff like add the little holes so that you can tuck the filament in when it's done at the end. It seems like it wouldn't be like a highly designed thing, but it really is. Oh yeah, the other design consideration is it has to be like the right size to print on the majority or all of my printers, which it is. It actually, like, I kind of wanted it to be slightly bigger, but we made it just a little less wide so that it fits on the plate perfectly. Really good. I don't know if you guys remember, a few episodes ago, I sold these 3D printed capos. Music people, they're the things that you clip onto a guitar neck. Anyway, there was a white one and a red one, you might remember. The guy messaged me and said that he never received it, even though the tracking said delivered. And I kind of freaked out because that's weird. And then I looked at the tracking and it said something about like, it's in the mailbox. I'm like, random question, but did you check the mailbox? He sends me a message back with the pictures of the things that he ordered from me. And he's like, well, I received these. But then there was another capo that he ordered from somebody else. And he's like, but I never received this one. And it literally said like a different store on there. The other thing that's crazy is those capos were made out of paper, which I didn't even know you could make a capo out of paper. It said DIY paper craft. I don't even know what that is, but I really hope this guy doesn't give me too bad reviews, because an item he ordered from another store didn't show up. Like, man, it sounds crazy, but people do stuff like that, where they'll order a bunch of items and then an item from another store, not from you, doesn't show up, and they blame you for it. E-commerce life. If I'm ever talking about customers like this, please don't get the impression that I'm like saying most of my customers are like these very specific individuals. Almost everybody is totally cool. Maybe I should show like the good reviews I get every day from people. Because they're public reviews, I could show them. Just to give a more balanced take. But it's just funny when these like the other day, it was like 3 episodes ago, some guy is mad because the thing hasn't showed up and it's not due to ship yet. And then this guy's like mad at me because something didn't show up that he ordered from someone else. Most people are not like that though, so don't get the wrong impression. Special project for today probably needs to be doing some recycling again. I think it's been a week and a half since I've done any. I didn't want to do recycling when we were running out of the plastic because generally the recycled material doesn't make the filament more likely to fail, but if there's no recycled material in the plastic, it's 100% not gonna fail. And we were right down to the line. I couldn't take any risks basically. But we have tons of plastic, almost literally. So it's time to recycle again. I got some stuff I gotta do before that, but we need to get that in. I'll also say, kind of an obvious thing to point out, but it's amazing feeling that I am not limited by how much filament I have anymore. That means the only limit on how much stuff I can ship is me. Like, as in how much stuff I can paint and print and package. And I know that that limit is very, very high because I've done that before. By the way, when this alien is done, which could happen today, it's a little hard to tell, but when this is done, we are making the bottom to the fries. These fries have been needing to happen for months, and like, we've got to give people what they want. So the alien is the priority, but pretty soon the short print that is required to make the bottom of the fries will be a thing. Time to finally get the coffee cup done and out the dough. Should be ready to go by tomorrow. Just a little bit of stringing and stuff, but nothing major. This big boy is pretty done. You can see it's a lot smoother. We're probably gonna have to do like 2 coats of white paint to get this to really have that that sort of cup, coffee dish sort of sheen. Pretty smooth. Might even have to do a couple coats of paint on this to get that sort of porcelain sheen to it. But I believe somebody's getting this as a joke to one of their friends who's like addicted to coffee. I'm sure they're gonna be like, hey, well, here's your next blah, blah, blah. Like, is this enough coffee for you? That pipe wastebasket got done. Anybody that's watched the series a good bit has seen at least a couple of these probably. We're gonna tape off, actually we're gonna paint this green, then we're gonna tape it off and paint this the brick color. Kind of random, but if you're ever writing a review or giving your impression of something and you want to sound smart, just say, you know, it's very idiosyncratic. There's almost no scenario where that will be wrong. Like, if you're listening to a band that has no idiosyncrasies, why would anybody be into them? Like, it just is true. So they'll probably hear that and be like, oh yeah, they are idiosyncratic. Like, I don't know why I never saw that before. It's getting later. We were making a lot of spools. I actually basically made all the small stuff that I needed to make. So we're just taking a day or two and making a lot of spools because, like, we need to. So that's 2. There's one over there. There's this one. There's one. There's another one down below. And about each one of these printers can make about 2 of those spools per day. So we're gonna get pretty stocked up on that. I mean, the nightmare scenario, maybe not nightmare scenario, the bad scenario is we just don't have enough spools to keep these things going. But It's not, I think we'll be able to keep up with it. Because if you have enough filament, you can make more spools. Really, it's like, just got to get the process started, and then it starts sort of getting reciprocal and the whole thing propels itself. Time to do a little recycling, finally. Finally. But also random, somebody is selling a Creality S5, and they're only like 3 hours away, a little less than 3 hours away from here. And they only want $325 for it. So I made an arrangement to go there Sunday, so 2 days from now. Probably the day after you're going to see this video, because I'm uploading it at night. Anyway, so I've kind of thought about how many Creality S5s I need to print big things for Christmas, and it would be nice to have a couple more. So I'm just keeping my eyes out for good prices on them, and $325 plus a little bit of gas. That's a pretty good deal. Well, end of the day, we've shut down the rigs. They've done very good service, and this is their first basically full day of production. As you can see, the machines are well stocked. Nice full rolls everywhere. This one's gonna need more. But this one's full. This one's probably got enough to finish, and this is full. Plus, on top of all that, we're starting to save some up. This would not have been possible without the second filament setup. The goal of getting this whole thing filled up is definitely realistic, unless something weird happens. I can't think of anything weird that would happen, but then weird things are the things you don't think of. The other thing to consider with all the rolls I just showed you is we just ran out of plastic. And by run out, I mean like out of plastic. We were just about at zero. We were using weird stuff, remember? So like the fact that it's already that well stocked, and this is just the first day of 2 filament extrusion setups, that's a good sign. And now it is that time again. In my gratitude corner. By the way, I've never said my name on this show. Have you ever noticed that? I've never once said my name. Seriously, go back and watch every episode. You'll notice that I do not believe there was a single time that I said my name. You guys have been watching me this whole time, and you have no idea what my name is. It's just a long time to never say your name. Yeah. Okay, I think that's a rule now. I'm never gonna say my name. So in my corner, let's do the gratitude game. Well, the big standout, of course, is the really, really delicious, gigantic filament extrusion program that has been launched. It is unbelievably refreshing, and I just love the feeling of like, wow. We are stocked, baby. And we're gonna be even more stocked. It feels good to have gotten a lot of things done. It feels good to be using my printers maximally. That I just have more than enough filament to run every single printer I need to. That is a good feeling. I feel like yes, I already said this on this episode, but yes, I am getting another S5 Sunday. Yeah, I talked about this. Okay, it took me a second to remember. I'm grateful for that. It's gonna be a fun little road trip. We're going to Garrison, Texas. I've never been there before. I guess there's a Garrison there. I don't know. So that's fun. Things are pretty caught up with the orders, so taking a day off basically isn't even gonna be a big deal. Plus, making a whole bunch of filament tomorrow, we can get all the machines running, which means that we'll be even more caught up when Monday rolls around. So yeah, taking a road trip ain't gonna hurt nothing. I'm grateful for that. But one last thing I'm grateful for that's kind of random is I discovered a band called Night Tapes. And I liked a couple of their songs. They're like on YouTube and stuff. But I just, on a lark, decided to listen to one of their albums. And they didn't really have albums, but they have an EP or something, which was almost as long as an album. But anyway, I listened to it and it was like really good. I don't know if you guys, we've talked about it a little bit. It feels like synthwave or vaporwave, chillwave, that kind of stuff. It almost feels like that's the official music of 3D printing. Like, I'm just gonna say that it is, okay? Because nobody's saying what the official music is, and somebody needs to say it. So anyway, Night Tapes is a really, really interesting take on that. And I've just had it running through my head literally all day. I'm trying not to get obsessed with it. But they have an EP out, and it is like shockingly good. It's like twice as good as the best synthwave that I've ever heard, basically. It's a really unique take on it. So, totally random, but check that out. I put a post about it in the community tab if you want to check that out. Back to the gratitude. Tell me what you're grateful for in the comments, like you so often do. I'm grateful that you're grateful. I'm grateful for your gratitude. I like reading it. You'll get a heart react, probably. Gonna give you a thumbs up. And everybody else gets to see what you're grateful for. There's a little cultural interchange or whatever. Peace out.
El lobo. ¿Eres un lobo? ¿Eres un lobo? ¿O un chihuahua? ¿Eres un lobo o un chihuahua?